The rain hammered the tin roof of our old bungalow like it was trying to drown out the secrets we'd buried for years. Hector's hands, strong and calloused from his construction gigs, pressed into my shoulders with a firmness that cracked something deep inside me. A sob I hadn't let out since the day his mother left us both. "Dad," he whispered, his voice breaking like thunder. "I can't pretend anymore. Not with you." I froze under his touch, the living room lamp casting long shadows across the faded Persian rug. The kind Mom had shipped from some flea market in Detroit years ago. It was supposed to be just a massage, a small gesture after I'd spent the day hauling boxes in the garage, prepping our South Side home for the winter that always hit Chicago like a freight train. Hector had insisted, his dark eyes locking onto mine with that quiet intensity he'd inherited from his father, the man who'd vanished before I even met Elena. But as his thumbs worked the knots in my traps, tracing the scars from a life of blue-collar grit, I felt the air thicken, charged with something forbidden. Something that had been simmering since he turned 18 and the boy I raised started looking at me like I was more than just the guy who'd signed the papers to make this family whole. That night, everything shifted, not with fireworks or grand declarations, but with the slow unraveling of truths we'd both ignored, like frayed wires sparking in the dark. My name's Christopher Hale, and if you'd asked me a decade ago where I'd end up, I sure as hell wouldn't have said here. A widower in my 40s, nursing a bad back from years on the line at the steel mill, and tethered to a kid who wasn't mine by blood but felt like he carved out my heart anyway. Elena and I met in the windy chaos of a Lake Michigan beach bonfire, back when Obama was still president and hope felt like it might stick around. She was a firecracker, Filipino-American spitfire with a laugh that could cut through blizzards, and Hector was her 8-year-old shadow, all gangly limbs and suspicious glares. His bio dad? Some drifter who'd knocked her up in high school and bolted for California dreams that never panned out. Elena called me her Midwest miracle, the steady white guy from Gary, Indiana, who fixed her leaky faucets and showed up for PDA nights. We married in a backyard ceremony under the elms, with Motown blasting from a Bluetooth speaker and Hector in a too-big suit, clutching a basketball like it was his shield. But Elena's cancer came fast, a shadow that swallowed her whole in 18 months. Pancreatic, the docs said, inoperable. She fought like hell. Chemo sessions where I'd hold Hector's hand while he pretended not to cry, whispering promises to the universe that if she pulled through, I'd quit smoking and learn to cook adobo worth a damn. She didn't pull through. Buried her on a gray October day in 2018, the kind where the wind off the lake smells like regret. Hector was 15. And in the funeral home's stuffy parlor, he grabbed my sleeve and muttered, "You're not leaving too, right, Chris?" I swore I wouldn't. Signed the adoption papers a month later, made it legal. From then on, it was us against the world. Father-son, bound by loss, not genes. We settled into a rhythm, the kind that fools you into thinking life's predictable. Mornings with black coffee and Cubs games on the radio, Hector blasting hip-hop while I griped about traffic on the Dan Ryan. He grew into a man, tall, broad-shouldered, with that effortless swagger that turned heads at his community college classes in welding tech. I watched him date girls from the neighborhood, awkward hookups that ended in slammed doors and late-night confessions over pizza. "They're not you, Dad," he'd say once, half-joking, and I'd laugh it off, chalk it up to teenage bullshit. But there was always this undercurrent. A glance held too long across the dinner table, a brush of shoulders in the hallway that lingered like humidity before a storm. The massage started innocent enough. It was a Friday in late fall, the leaves on our block turning the streets into a patchwork of gold and crimson. I'd wrecked my back that week. Nothing dramatic, just the usual grind of overtime at the mill, bending over welders until my spine screamed. Hector came home from his shift at the site downtown, grease-streaked and smelling like sawdust, and found me slumped on the couch with a heating pad. "Come on, old man," he teased, that grin flashing white against his olive skin. "Let me fix you up. Learned this stuff from PT after that sprain last summer." I grumbled but let him. Shirt off, face down on the rug, the TV murmuring some cop drama in the background. His hands were magic, firm circles that melted the ache, thumbs digging into the meat of my shoulders like he knew every map of my pain. We talked easy at first. His latest crush on a barista named Mia, my beef with the foreman over union dues. But then silence fell, heavy as the rain starting outside. I felt him pause, his breath warm against my neck. "You carry too much, Chris," he said softly. "Always have. For Mom. For me." I swallowed, throat tight. "That's what dads do, kid. You're not just a dad." His voice cracked, and his fingers stilled. I twisted to look up, and there it was, that look. Not gratitude, not affection. Hunger. The kind that twists your guts because it's mirrored in your own chest, buried under layers of denial. "Hector," I started, but he was already pulling away, standing like he'd been burned. The room spun, the hook of the cop show's theme song mocking us. He paced to the window, fists clenched, rain streaking the glass like tears. "I can't keep this in anymore. It's killing me. Every time I see you with those guys from the bar, laughing, flirting like it's nothing, it rips me up, because I want that with you. God, Chris, I want you." The words landed like a sucker punch. Betrayal? Yeah, it was there, not his but mine. For years, I'd ignored the warmth that bloomed when he hugged me too tight. The way my pulse jumped when he'd crash on my bed after nightmares. His legs slung over mine in sleep. I dated sporadically. Widower meets divorcee at the VFW. Awkward dinners that fizzled because no one measured up to the ghost of Elena or the flesh and blood boy in the next room. But this was the line we'd towed. The taboo we'd danced around since he came out to me at 17, sobbing over a beer in the garage. "I'm gay, Dad, and I think it's always been you." I'd hugged him then, said all the right things. Love is love. Kid, you're perfect. But inside, a dam cracked. Because part of me, the lonely, aching part, whispered back. Now, with the rain pounding and his confession hanging like smoke, the conflict erupted. "This isn't right," I said, sitting up, pulling my shirt on like armor. "I'm your father, Hector. The one who tucked you in, who grounded you for sneaking out. We can't." "Can't what?" "Feel." He whirled on me, eyes wild, chest heaving. "You think I don't see how you look at me? Like I'm the only light in this shithole life? Mom's gone, Chris. The mill's chewing you up. We're all we've got. Why fight it?" The argument stretched into the night, voices rising over the storm, dredging up every buried hurt. I threw his Dad's abandonment in his face. How I'd stepped in when no one else would. How this would shatter us. He fired back with my own failures. The nights I came home drunk after Elena's diagnosis, leaving him to fend for himself. The walls I'd built, too scared to admit I was queer too, hiding it under flannel and football. Betrayal layered on betrayal. His for forcing the truth. Mine for letting it fester unspoken. By midnight, we were spent. Slumped on opposite ends of the couch, the TV forgotten. Thunder rolled, and in the flash of lightning, I saw him, really saw him, not as the boy I'd raised, but as the man who'd become my anchor. "I love you," I whispered, the words slipping out raw. "But not like that. Or, maybe I do. Christ, I don't know." He crossed the room in 2 strides, dropping to his knees before me, hands on my thighs. Not seductive, but desperate, seeking permission. "Then let's find out. Together. No labels, no rules. Just us." I pulled him up, into an embrace that blurred every boundary. We didn't kiss, not then, not ever in the way stories glamorize. It was deeper. Foreheads pressed, breaths mingling. The rain our only witness. That night shifted us, all right. From father and son to something unnameable. A love that defied the neat boxes society shoves us into. We talked till dawn about therapy, about boundaries, about the future. He moved into his own apartment up north a month later, near the welding program at Harold Washington College, but we rebuilt. Dinners twice a week, hikes along the lakefront where we'd scatter Elena's ashes in our minds. Long drives to Indiana for my ma's apple pie. The climax came 6 months later, on that balcony overlooking the loop. I'd called him over after a brutal layoff at the mill, hundreds gone, including me, the economy's latest casualty. Rain caught us mid-argument, him yelling about me wallowing, me accusing him of running from the mess we'd made. Soaked to the bone, I grabbed his jacket, pulled him close. "You're my son," I said, voice cracking over the gale. "And you're my heart. That's enough." He nodded, tears carving paths down his face. "Yeah, it is. We didn't cross that line, never did. But in the years since, as Hector built his life, union rep, partner to a kind graphic designer named Alex, the kind of guy who makes him laugh like I never could, I found peace in the shift. Love isn't always fireworks. Sometimes it's the steady burn of a pilot light, keeping the cold at bay. Chicago winters are brutal, but with Hector's calls every Sunday, his hand on my shoulder at ball games, I know we're whole. Fractured, maybe, but human. And in America, where we peddle dreams like street vendors, that's the real miracle. Choosing each other, every damn day, no matter the storm.